According to Asia Times, robots are typically deployed by countries with high labor costs as a cost-cutting measure. In countries with low labor cost, robot adoption may not play an overwhelmingly significant role because investing in robots may not yield clear short-term economic benefits compared to using cheap labor. However, when considering the cases of the United States and China, this trend does not hold true. Washington has high labor costs, while Beijing has low labor costs. Yet, China surpasses with a robot utilization rate more than 12 times higher than that of the United States. Why is that? Let's find out in today's program. Robots are key tools for boosting productivity and international competitiveness. So, national rates of robot adoption are important indicators of economic performance. The most commonly used method for benchmarking robot adoption rates is to calculate the number of industrial robots as a share of manufacturing workers. Typically, it is measured by the number of robots per 10,000 manufacturing workers. Asia Times points out that it is important to consider that there is a stronger economic case for adopting robots in higher wage economies than there is in lower wage economies. Here, the wage level of an economy describes the wage levels of workers in different countries or regions in relation to the global average wage of labor. This can be understood as countries with high wage levels being more inclined to adopt robotics because it has the potential to increase productivity and reduce labor costs. Meanwhile, in countries with low wage levels, investment in automation may not be as high of a priority because labor costs are cheaper. The International Federation of Robotics (IFR) reports data on robot use in manufacturing by various nations. The latest data are from 2021. Korea was the world's largest adopter of industrial robots, with 1,000 robots per 10,000 manufacturing workers, while Singapore was second with 670, followed by Japan and Germany with close to 400. The United States had 274 robots per 10,000 workers, while China had 322. The 2018 report from the IFR also identified the leading countries in industrial robot adoption. The rankings were based on the expected robot adoption ratio compared to actual figures. According to this report, Southeast Asian countries were leading the world in robot adoption. Among them, China was at the forefront, with the actual deployment of robots being 8 times higher than expected, a significant increase from 1.6 times in 2017. South Korea installed more robots than expected, surpassing the expected figure by 4.8 times. Singapore exceeded expectations by 2.8 times. In contrast, the United States only reached 70% of the expected number. Per Asia Times in 2021, China had installed 18% more robots per manufacturing worker than the United States. And when controlling for the fact that Chinese manufacturing wages were significantly lower than US wages, China had 12 times more rate of robot use in manufacturing than the United States. When it comes to robot adoption, China appears to have created an enormous playground for itself. The difference between the United States and China lies not in market forces, but in the policies of each government. The Chinese Communist Party (CCP) has made manufacturing robot adoption a top priority, backing it up with generous subsidies. According to the IFR, this is one of the reasons why China has been the world's largest industrial robot market for 8 consecutive years. In contrast, US policymakers often criticize the potential of robots taking away human jobs. According to Asia Times, the United States does not provide any specific support for companies implementing robots, and actual automation production lines receive minimal funding. A Chinese newspaper, China Daily, published an article in mid-August stating that Beijing is willing to cooperate with the international community to promote the application of robots in various fields, creating an open and comprehensive development environment. At the same time, it encourages foreign robot companies to invest and develop their businesses in China. Emphasizing the growing importance of robots in the fields of smart manufacturing and technological innovation, Mr. Xin Guobin, the Vice Minister of China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, has called for expanded international cooperation in the field of industrial robotics. He also stressed the need to establish principles and standards to regulate development and the application of emerging technologies. Mr. Xin highlighted the significance of the World Robot Conference 2023 held in Beijing in August. The Vice Minister also mentioned that last year, China's robotics industry achieved significant milestones with profits exceeding 170 billion Chinese yuan, equivalent to $23.3 billion, maintaining double-digit growth. China accounted for half of the total sales of industrial robots worldwide, leading the global market for 10 consecutive years. Data from the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology of China indicates that China's industrial robot exports reached 222,000 units in the first half of this year, a 5.4% increase compared to the previous year. From mid-January to June this year, the export of service robots from China increased by 9.2% compared to the previous year, reaching 3.53 million units. According to the Chinese Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, China also leads the world in the installation of industrial robots, capturing 50% of the global market in 2022. China Daily reports that the total financial support for China's industrial robot sector last year amounted to over 30 billion Chinese yuan, approximately $4.65 billion US. Vice Minister Xin emphasized that China will enhance efforts to promote breakthroughs and technological innovations in key components of robotics. Additionally, China will develop world-class industrial robot clusters and ensure the sustainability of the global robotics industry and supply chains. Mr. Xin further mentioned that China has a robot density of 392 robots per 10,000 employees in its manufacturing sector. Industrial robots have been deployed in 65 industries and 206 sub-industries, with applications spanning various sectors such as new energy, automotive, lithium batteries, optoelectronics, and rapidly growing emerging industries. Mr. Jose Vieira, president of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations, acknowledges that China is playing a significant role in the global development of technology, science, and engineering. Beijing has also achieved notable accomplishments in the development of robotics. According to him, the application of robot technology can enhance efficiency, reduce costs, and improve product quality. He emphasizes the need for a balance between technological advancements and industrial development, stressing the importance of collaboration to promote the sustainable and comprehensive development of robotics. Asia Times reports that China is developing the world's fastest growing robot market with the highest annual installation of devices globally. According to the International Federation of Robotics, a non-profit professional organization based in Germany, since 2016, Beijing has had the largest annual number of robots in operation worldwide. Chen Ying, Vice President and Secretary General of the China Electronic Information Industry Development Research Institute, notes that robots are being used as a crucial indicator to assess a nation's scientific and technological innovation and manufacturing capabilities. Mr. Chen affirms China will become a significant driving force in advancing the global robotics industry. He also calls for accelerating efforts to integrate robots with advanced technologies, including artificial intelligence, biotechnology, new materials, and brain-computer interfaces. Zhang Jin, chairman of the Sison Group, one of China's largest robot companies, states that the company will continue to increase investment in robot development and research, enhancing innovation capabilities and expanding the application of robots in industries such as automation, semiconductors, and new energy. China's robotics industry development plan from 2016 to 2020 set a goal of expanding robot use tenfold by 2025. As a result, many provincial governments are providing generous subsidies for firms to buy robots, although the accuracy of reported figures is perhaps dubious as the science defies comprehension. For example, in 2018, Guangdong province planned to invest 943 billion yuan, or approximately $135 billion, to help firms carry out machine substitution. Likewise, the provincial government of Anhui stated it would be investing 600 billion yuan, or approximately $86 billion, to subsidize industrial upgrading of manufacturers in its province, including through robotics. To put this in perspective, it is the equivalent on a per GDP basis of the United States investing $4 trillion. China also provides tax incentives for equipment investment, and it has established its second five-year plan for the robotics industry. Either way, China appears to provide greater subsidies for robot adoption than any other nation, both in absolute terms and per robot. Compare that to the United States, where there are no subsidies for installing robots. The federal tax code no longer even lets firms write off equipment expenditures in the first year for tax purposes. The implications of this should be clear. The only way for the United States to compete with dollar-adjusted, lower manufacturing wages in China is for manufacturers in America to be more productive, and automation, including robotics, is the key way to do that. Unfortunately, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, U.S. manufacturing has been in a productivity slump over the last decade. As such, unless U.S. manufacturing significantly boosts robotic adoption, China will gain even more global manufacturing market share against U.S. companies. To reverse this, Congress should establish a 10% investment tax credit for manufacturers as well as triple the funding for the NIST Manufacturing Extension Service and the National Robotics Engineering Center in Pittsburgh. The NIST Manufacturing Extension Partnership (MEP) is a program for initiative implemented by the National Institute of Standards and Technology in the United States to support and promote development and improvement in the manufacturing and agricultural sectors. The National Robotics Engineering Center in Pittsburgh is a leading research and technology development organization in the field of robotics in the United States. The economic competition among global giants continues to be full of interesting developments, and we will continue to provide various fascinating perspectives in our future programs. Goodbye for now, and see you again.